Hello.
Hello. Hey, I just noticed your shirt. Cool.
Oh yeah, I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, yes. Cool about you.
Hi everybody. Welcome to the last episode of Megan's Coding Corner.
Woo.
We have finally finished the first pass at the new tutorial. So we'll be making smaller updates as we go, but this is it for this round of live streams. My name is Megan Sullivan. I am a senior software engineer at Gatsby. I focus mainly on our documentation, although now that I'm done with the tutorial, maybe I'll work on something else. I don't know. And I am joined today by Generosa Litton. Generosa, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you again for having me. It's been a blast, and I'm sad it's done for now, but looking forward to more. But I'm a solutions engineer, and basically I work with customers both on pre-sales and post-sales and ensure they're successful with Gatsby.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been really great to have you and Kirsten on these streams to help me talk about new Gatsby features, or I guess new to you all. Yeah, so this series, Megan's Coding Corner, is where we go over the new sections for the new Gatsby tutorial as they come out. So part 7, which I will drop a link in the chat. Part 7 just came out yesterday. So today we'll walk you through how that works. This part is all about dynamic images using the GatsbyImage component from the gatsby-plugin-image plugin.
Yes.
So before we get started with that, I want to go over some quick ground rules just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. First, you belong here. If anything is confusing, that's on me, that's not on you. So feel free to drop questions in the chat if there's anything that's confusing, or if I mix up some words, or you want me to re-say something, I'm happy to do that. The second thing is to be kind to each other. So everybody's on different stages in their learning journeys. So let's respect that. And if you see somebody in the chat who has a question that you know the answer to, feel free to jump in and help them out. And then the third thing, last thing, is to be kind to yourself. So nobody is born knowing any of this stuff. And learning new things is hard, but you can do hard things.
Yeah.
So,
and it's fun.
Yeah, and it's fun. Yeah. We're here. It's a supportive, fun time.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Cool.
Okay. So let me share. Well, okay. I already dropped a link to part 7. All right. So I'm going to bring up your screen, Generosa.
Okay. Cool.
All right. So today we are going to talk about part 7 of the new tutorial, which is all about adding dynamic images to your site. So dynamic images, these are specifically going to be images that come from the data layer, or images that render differently. The source of the image is different times of, or different times that the component renders. Sorry, let's take that again from the top. So a dynamic image basically is just one that changes different times that it renders. So if you think back to part 3, last time we learned about static images, which come from a hard-coded URL or path in your file system. And so those are the same every single time that component renders. You're going to render the same image source. So that's these two dog photos that we added to our homepage. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to add dynamic images. So the way that we're going to do that is by adding hero images, those big photos at the top of a blog post. And so we're going to add them into our, into our blog post page template. And because they're going to render a different source image every time, we'll have to use a different component. So this is going to be the GatsbyImage component from the Gatsby-plugin-image plugin. And I will drop a link to that plugin here. And then I guess let's scroll down a little bit. So there's a picture in here to sort of help illustrate the difference between when to use static image and when to use Gatsby image. And you can think about it sort of like if you're like in a new town and you're asking somebody for directions, using static image is like asking for a specific street address. So if you say like, hey, I'm trying to get to 400 Main Street, you are always going to be directed to the same place, regardless of who you ask. So like you can ask 10 different people, and if they know where it is, you will always end up at the same like final destination. But using Gatsby image is more like if you asked somebody like, hey, what's the best coffee shop in town? Depending on who you ask, you're going to get sent to different places. So you can like use one question, I guess, like you can ask one thing, like where does the best coffee in town, and end up with a different final destination based on who you asked or like what part of town you're in. So that's like an analogy that you can use to sort of help you decide when to use static image and when to use Gatsby image.
Yeah,
so go ahead.
And I just want to say that customers of mine who use Gatsby image, typically, like if they're e-commerce site, they want to feature a new product, you know, every week it's a different product. So that image needs to change. So that's why they use Gatsby image, because every week it's going to be different.
Yeah, I love that. Real world examples.
Yes.
So yeah, if that's another good way to think about it too. Like if an image, if you want to like pass an image source down as like a prop, then you'll have to use Gatsby image instead of static image, because that value can change different times that the component renders.
All
okay,
right.
Cool. So game plan for today. Like I said before, we're going to add hero images to our blog posts. So we're going to do that in a couple different stages. The first stage is to get some hero images. So we have to go find some photos online, and then we'll add them to our file system. And then we'll like add information about each of those photos to our MDX posts to the front matter.
Yep.
So let's start by going to Unsplash. I know you've got a tab open for that.
Okay.
And actually, let me drop a link to this. So you can get images from anywhere, but Unsplash, the nice thing about these is that they're all like free to use.
Royalty. Right.
Yeah. So you don't have to pay, and then we can just, instead of paying money, we can give credit
yeah.
to the photographers. So let's see, what kind of photos do you want to add? We can add anything.
Does anyone in the chat want?
Yeah, people in the chat. What should we add?
Any? Is there any feedback?
Not yet, but yeah, let us know what kind of photos you want to see. And then while people are doing that, I guess I'll say that one thing that you should know about Unsplash images is that they're quite large. And this is one area where it's good for the like performance of your site to sort of pre-optimize these images before you put them into into your site.
Is there? If they ask me, I'm just going to get pit bull puppies. So any
there feedback? You go. Oh, here we've got a couple. We've got a couple from Freud Plays. Here, I'll put them in the private chat so that you can like click on them easily.
Oh, okay.
The streaming tool that we use doesn't let you like copy paste
okay.
out of the main chat very easily.
Oh, this is a cute one. Okay.
Sweet.
There you go. Beautiful photo.
Love it. Excellent taste in hero images. Cool. So then, and then Generosa, I guess you can pick the last one. So what we're going to do here is, download these photos. And so it gives you some different sizes. So this gets back to what I was talking about before about pre-optimizing your images. If you know that an image is only going to be rendered at a max size of like 1,000 pixels or 2,000 pixels or however big these screens are. You don't have to have a like massive, what is this, like almost 5,000 pixels wide image, because those images are going to be really big, which means that as Gatsby is trying to process those images, it's going to take longer because there's more pixels. So one thing that you can do to speed up your build times is to just pre-optimize your images and make them like the right size for your site. So
what should I do? 1920?
Yeah, so I don't actually know. I don't know like how big my monitor is, but if you have like,
I don't know.
I think like 1,000 pixels is probably, well, here, let me do a quick Google. How big is
my gut tells me
monitor?
1920 is probably good enough.
Oh yeah, that sounds right. Okay, so 1920, if that's like the size, one thing that you can do if you like really need it to be like a high, what is it, like high density image, like if you've got like a retina display that's got like 2x, I don't really know about monitors, but like if you've got like a super good monitor, you can go up to like 2 times the size of your image. So like if you know that it needs to be 1920
times 2,
that's a hard number. If you know that it's going to be like 1,000 pixels, then you can have one that's 2,000 pixels wide, so that it'll be like good quality when it renders. But you don't need to go higher than that. You don't have to go to like 5,000, 10,000, whatever.
Cool. Okay.
So yeah, so that medium size is probably fine. It doesn't make a huge difference for our example because our site is so small, but doesn't hurt.
So should I put it in the home? Oh, that's not what I want to do. In the folder of the.
Yeah, let's do that. So let's put it. And actually, we're gonna do a couple of things.
Okay.
We're gonna do a couple things at the same time. So one thing that is nice to do, that I like to do anyway, is to keep all of my content for each post organized into a single folder. So if you look into our like blog folder right now, you can see that there's just a separate post or all of our posts are separate. They live in the same file. But now that we're going to add images into this file as well, or into this folder, it's nice for organization to separate this into subfolders for each blog post. So let's do that first.
Okay.
So we'll just make 3 new folders.
Okay. What's the first one? Images? Or what do you call
You can just make it. So I'm saying like for this one, you would make like one first blog folder and then one second blog folder and then one third blog. Just so that then you can put like everything related to your first blog into one folder.
Got it. I see. Okay, do that. Come on, Mac. Everything. Second blog. And then third blog. And then just add it there, right? Second blog. Okay, and so now the images for which one?
Well, and then you're going to have to do one more thing here. Okay. So if you remember back to like part 6 last time when we were rearranging things into subfolders, if you leave it the way that it is right now, the paths for your files will end up being at like third blog/third blog.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so to avoid that, you can just rename each of your MDX files now as just index.mdx.
Oh, inside. I see. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and then because it comes from the like full path, that's how your slugs get generated.
Yeah. I guess it's door faster. Well, never mind. It's only 3. It's okay. I'm just a speedy kind of person. All right. Third blog. All right. Watch me rename files.
Oh yeah, we've got a question from Freud Plays. In the meantime, is that the recommended way to make them all be indexed? All of your MDX files? I think it's less about the recommended way and more of just like, if you want to go this route of having separate folders for each of your blog posts, you'll have to rename them to be index.mdx. Otherwise, the path to each of your pages will change. So it'll be at like blog/first blog/first blog, because the way that our paths are getting generated, it like will chain the folder that it's in with the like name of the actual file. So index is the sort of like special case where if your file is named index.js or index.mdx, when Gatsby's building the routes, it won't include that like index piece. And it'll just use the folder structure.
Cool. So now the photo, should I put it in one of the blog folders?
Yeah. So now let's stick it in one of those.
Oh, does it matter which one? Oops.
No.
Okay.
Whichever one speaks to you.
Okay, I will just do it in first just because it's there. Okay, first. Okay. And then there's another photo, right, that we should download?
Yeah, there should be two more. So one for each blog post.
Oh my God.
Look at that face.
Yeah. Okay, medium. Okay.
Cute.
And any for a third? There's no one who wants a third?
You can pick the third one, Generosa.
Okay. All right. Why don't I do a shark? Let's see. Unsplash, where are you? Hammerhead, shark. I don't know why that's in my head right now, but
whatever works.
Yeah. All right. This is cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, look at the eyes.
Nice.
So
cool.
All right.
So then leave those tabs open because we'll want to pull the like photographer data in a second.
Okay. Okay.
But awesome. Cool. So for now, can you just like click through those files just to show what's in there? You've got like or we can even do this in the code too. Yeah. But so now you've got separate folders for each of your blog posts inside of your like blog subdirectory. Or I guess it's a top level directory. And each of those subdirectories has an index.mdx file and an image for your hero image.
Yeah, let me find the code. Yeah, so I think, this is where I should have been. So, yeah, so okay, I have the tabs. So
nice.
It should be good. Okay.
Okay, cool. So now if you go into, you can scroll down in here a little bit to see what we're going to do. So this picture shows what we did, where we moved each of our MDX files into their own subfolders. And then we downloaded some images, and then
okay.
So now this is the next part that we're going to do. So we're going to add some front matter about each of these hero images to our MDX files. So if you want to open up the first one,
let me just move this. So first, this one right here.
Yeah. So the front matter, let's see, when did we do this? This was in part 5. So the front matter is that stuff at the beginning of the file, in between the 3 dashes.
Okay.
And it's just like extra metadata about your file. So here we've already got the title and the date, and now we're going to add 4 more things. So one hero image, that's going to be the relative path to the image file that we want to use.
Okay.
So in our case, this will be different for each of these. So then, I think, I don't know.
Yeah, I need to do.
Yeah, so you'll just want to do // You don't need the blog/first blog here because it's like relative to the MDX file's current location.
Correct.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
And now we're going to add hero image alt, which is going to be the alt text that we want to use for our images. So this is good for accessibility, for people using screen readers or other assistive technologies. This is like the description of your image that will get read out. And then it'll also get used if your image can't load for whatever reason. This will be like the placeholder text that renders instead.
Okay. And
Perfect.
then I see we do image text.
Yep. And so
credit.
hero image credit text is going to be the name of the photographer. And we're just going to use this so that underneath each photo, we can render like this photo is by Jamie Houghton, or however you say her name. Or their name.
Okay. Right. Okay, it's just my screen. Spacing doesn't, and then credit link.
Actually, it looks like it might be on a new line.
Oh,
Jamie.
Oh, we don't want that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done. Okay. And then the last one will be hero image credit link, which we can just use. It'll just be the URL where you downloaded that image from. And so we can use that to add a link.
Okay.
Add a link back to where we got the photo from.
All right.
Perfect.
So that's front matter.
Nice. And so now we have to do that same process, adding those 4 front matter fields to your 2 other blog posts as well.
Okay. So you want me to do that now, or
yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right. What I'll do is I'm just gonna copy and paste these things and just change the data. So the second one was, I'm just gonna do things not in line. I mean, not in order. So you, let's see. Are there any questions on doing this?
Yeah,
it's kind of like weird. I feel strange when people watching me.
Take your time. This is what we're here to see.
Yeah.
This is all of the like sort of admin-y work that has to get done before we can actually
do something.
Write the code and look at the data.
Yeah. Okay.
You gotta have all your data set up.
A cute puglet, a black, with harness.
Oh, Freud Plays was asking about a question sent to the Ask Gatsby JS. Twitter. Yeah, I think that's still an active account. Marissa, do you know? Do people still look at that one?
I think I mentioned that any support questions that go to the Twitter account, I mean, we do see it. So I have seen it. So yes, it is active still. So if this person didn't see or didn't get it answered, my suggestion, I mean, would be to go to just email support@gatsbyjs.com. That gets us, I mean, it's a better link. I'm looking for the shark one now. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Here, I'll find a link to Gatsby support.
Yeah, I'm just putting this on my other side. Okay. So this is the third one. This Unsplash. Oh, no. Okay. It's David Claude. Okay. Come on. Okay. David. And then credit link. Okay. That. Here. And then what is this? Hammerhead shark with white. Everything has white eyes. Yeah. But that's good photography for you, you know.
There you go.
You always have to look at, I mean, focus on the eyes, because that's what we
do. Sharks have eyelids?
Eyelids, you know, I haven't. I mean, I'm a scuba diver, and I've
have you seen a shark?
Oh, many. Oh yeah.
Ooh,
I've swam with them, and no, they're I think they're the most. They're like pit bulls. They're not bad. Yeah. So, I mean, they're scared of us more than we're scared of them.
That's fair.
So, I haven't seen eyelids. So, and I have close-up pictures. Now I'm gonna look, but I haven't seen
There you go.
eyelashes or eyelids, so I think we're good. So okay, I think I
Okay.
did everything we're supposed to
Nice.
do. All right.
And then real quick, we've got a couple of other questions in the chat we can talk about real fast. So one from Strange Hill, if I used numbers for the YAML value fields, are surrounding quote marks still advised? I don't think you need
Yeah.
them. I think that YAML lets you use whatever type. So like for these things where, you know, we have a date that's like got numbers in it, but it's a special kind of string, and we want the quotes to say like, hey, treat this as a string, so that when we format the date later, we can do that. And then same thing with like some of these URLs. Well, actually, I don't know what will happen if you don't have the quotes around a URL.
Well, it won't be.
But yeah, I think that it'll still work if you have something that's like number of comments or whatever. That I think will be fine. Like I think that that's valid YAML.
Okay. I made point to put no eyelids on the handwritten. I don't think they have eyelids.
There you go.
But all right, cool. All right, so okay, now we did that. Okay, now we have to install.
Yeah, and then we've got one more question from Freud Plays. Is the naming convention for Gatsby uppercase file names or camel case? For file names, I think it's whatever you want to use.
Yeah.
I don't know. Personally, I use like the dashes. What is that? Kebab case?
Yeah, kebab case. Yeah. I think, but for components, I think it's lowercase, and then naming the components is Pascal, where it's the first letter.
Oh yeah,
capital.
where the first letter is big.
Yeah.
It's like camel case plus you make the first letter big.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's Pascal case. I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
But I think that's it's more the React convention, so we adopt the React convention. So
yeah, for file names though, I think it's all lowercase, or
I think so. I think
case.
you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kebab.
Sweet.
Okay.
Okay, so cool. So I think it looks like your credit text here on this one is on 2 lines again.
Oh.
On line 7. 6 and 7
should
be
yeah.
one line.
Okay. Good eye. That's why we pair.
Right?
Yes. Pairing is awesome.
I know. It's
Don't do things by yourself. Yeah, no, me too. Let me make sure.
Sweet.
Okay, yeah.
Amazing.
Good. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So now this is all set up. Now we can, well, I was going to say we can start the develop server, but we have to do some setup now. So now we've got this data that's it's like image data that is inside of our front matter. And what we need is some way to like process images in the data layer. So the way that we're going to do that is by installing this transformer plugin called Gatsby Transformer Sharp. So if you scroll down a little bit, just so we can look at that picture. Yeah, perfect. So if you think back to part 4 or part 5, I think part 5 is when we were talking about transformer plugins. But basically you've got the way that your data layer works is we've got our file system and we have the source plugin, Gatsby source file system, that is pulling all of those files into our data layer as file nodes. And then we've got different kinds of transformer plugins that take those file nodes and turn them into other kinds of nodes. Or sorry, they don't turn them into, they don't change the first node. They like make another node that's linked to that file node. So here, for this example, we've got like some file nodes that end with an MDX extension. And the Gatsby plugin MDX plugin will transform those MDX file nodes into MDX nodes and then like link them back to their like parent file node. They just add in a connection saying like, hey, if you need to get to the file node that this MDX node was created from, here's a link for that.
That's the
and
best
then,
explanation I've ever heard.
oh,
So thank
thanks.
you.
I felt like it rambled a little bit, so I'm
No,
glad it didn't
I'm glad.
feel like that.
Yeah.
And if it did feel rambly, that's okay too. Ask questions in the chat. And so Gatsby Transformer Sharp is going to do something very similar to that, where it's going to look at your file nodes, specifically at the ones that end with these like image file extensions. There's a longer list of them, but it includes like JPEGs,
JPEG, yeah, WebP,
PNGs, WebP, yeah. So it'll look at those file nodes specifically and say like, oh, hey, this file has an extension that I know is an image. So I'm going to transform that node. I'm going to make an image sharp node, which is just a different kind of node that's got different fields on it. And it'll create that image sharp node based off of the image file that the file node links to.
Yes. Good, good.
Lots of words.
Yeah.
And then eventually we'll make a GraphQL query, which will pull data about those MDX nodes and image sharp nodes into our blog post page template. So that's sort of the like big picture where we're going today. Cool. But first we have to install this plugin. All right, so let's do that.
Okay, so I just copied the command here.
Okay, great.
npm install, and it's doing that.
Yep. So you'll run npm install Gatsby Transformer Sharp, and that's done. Perfect.
And then we need to add it to the Gatsby config, right? Yep.
Yeah.
So okay, so I just need to do. You know, I always am afraid of typos, so I'm just going to copy and paste just to make sure I don't.
Nice.
Okay, there it is. You'll need to blah, blah, blah. You'll need to restart. Okay, so should I do that? Restart?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's restart. Okay. So once you restart your app, then it'll like rebuild your site using all of the new plugins in your Gatsby config.
Okay. But we won't see anything different from the homepage, right? Because we didn't do it.
Yeah, we won't see anything different yet because we haven't updated any of the page components.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Cool.
So that's
now that's building. So great. Now we can move into Graphical.
Yeah.
So to get to Graphical, you'll go to localhost 8000/3_ GraphQL. And now that we're here, we're going to, what we're trying to do now is make an update to our blog post page template so that like it's in our like source/pages/blog. And then it has the curly brackets to say that this is a collection route for like all of the pages that we want to build. Yeah, from our MDX field, MDX nodes with the slug field.
Right. Okay.
So this is the page template that gets used every time that we go to like one of our blog post pages. So to start, let's copy this query that we have so far. We'll just copy that query into Graphical so that we have like, so that we have like our starting point. We don't need to like start completely from scratch.
Okay. Oh yeah, cool. Let me just see if I can fix this. So
oh yeah, you can't make the Explorer window any smaller, so you have to just sort of like
make this bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So this is what we have so far. For the sake of just like working with this here, let's delete this ID string.
This one here.
So yeah, the both of them. So we'll delete that whole ID field.
Oh, okay. The whole,
because this is the part that's saying like, hey, use this ID query variable and get me back just the MDX node that corresponds to this.
Yes.
To this ID.
Yeah.
And if this is confusing, you can go back and watch part 6. Actually, let me drop a link to. Here's a link to all of the YouTube videos with recordings of the past streams. So yeah, if you need a refresher on query variables, we talked about it there.
Yeah, which reminds me actually one tip that maybe people on the stream are, I'd like to share, is that
Yeah, let's hear it.
a common performance like mistake I see customers do is that when they query, they always query for everything and when they just need one thing. So having, variables like this that query for just one thing is the better way. That's it. That's all I want to say. Because I've seen it. Just reminded me.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Which
okay.
makes sense that that would slow down your site because then suddenly you're like waiting for all of this other data to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason that we're deleting the query variable here is just because we don't have a query variable set up in this like little pane at the bottom with an ID. It would just be like a little bit longer to get that set up. But if you need to see how to do that, go back and watch part 6 where we set that up. So what we're going to do now is if you look at the front matter, so see how here now there's, in the Explorer pane, so in that like middle column.
Middle column.
Yeah, so we'll here. Scroll down to the, I guess it's the left column of your browser. So it's sort of like in the middle of the screen. Yeah. So we're going to look at these extra front matter fields now that are showing up here. So let's start by just adding the easy ones. If you just check the boxes for hero image alt, credit link, and credit text.
I didn't even see that. That's all we added.
Cool. So that's
all the pain we
that
did
comes
in the
through when Gatsby rebuilds your site. And these are just from the Gatsby plugin MDX plugin. Man, I wish that was a better name.
Yeah, I know.
From Gatsby plugin MDX, that will pull in all of this front matter. And so if you run this query and then sort of like pull your window open, so you can see here, ignore the body, that's just all of your like compiled MDX. But up at the top, or I guess it's sort of in the middle, you can see we're getting back the strings from our front matter. So those are the easy ones because those are just strings that we're going to use later. But the interesting one that we want to focus on for today is going to be this hero image field. So the one that we didn't check. Okay. So one thing that you might notice is that like this one here is it's got a drop down instead of just being a checkbox. Yeah. And this is getting like a little bit in the weeds. So if this is confusing, don't worry about it. You don't have to know this. But the way that Gatsby builds your site at build time, it does something called schema inference. So your GraphQL schema is just like it's a GraphQL concept where it's like the different types for all of the data in your, in your site. And so at build time, Gatsby will, as it's building up the schema for all of your GraphQL queries, it will try and guess what type each thing is for you. So that's why here it can look at your hero image front matter and it sees like, oh, hey, this looks like it might be a file. So let me give you access to the file nodes that it relates to. So that's why here you get all of these nodes that if you were to look at like all file, you would see these same sorts of things like
I see
absolute path and modified time and stuff like that. So that's sort of like the first step is Gatsby looks at this string in your front matter, says, oh, this looks like a file. Let me give you access to these file node fields. And then the second piece is inside of here, there's this child image sharp field. So the one above that, there's child image sharp and there's children image sharp. And honestly, I don't know what children image sharp does, but I know that child image sharp is the one that we want.
Okay.
And so this is sort of like a similar hop where like as Gatsby is building your site, it looks at this file node now. So it looks at hero image, the front matter, says, oh, hey, this looks like a file. let me give you the file node fields.
Mm-hmm.
And then Gatsby transformer sharp, which is the like image processing one, looks at that and says, oh, this file looks like an image. So let me also give you access to this child image sharp field, which has all of the image sharp node fields.
It's amazing how this thing works. I mean, just so you explain,
it's definitely a little bit complicated, and you don't have to know all of this stuff to be able to use this. It's just helpful for me, at least, to sort of
me too.
know how it's connected.
Yeah.
So if you're like us, then hopefully that helps sort of peel back the layers of this onion.
You understand what to choose if you know the reason.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it easier to be like, okay, I'm going to go into my front matter. I'm going to go into this hero image, and then I'm going to look for child image sharp. And then in here, there's one more step that you have to do. So you want to check that Gatsby image data.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this is the field that is going to give you back the data for your images. And so actually, if we run this right now, let's take a look at what that gives us back. So this is getting very long, but you can see in here. So if you trace the structure of your response will match what the structure of the query was. So inside of MDX, inside of front matter, inside of hero image, inside of child image sharp, inside of Gatsby image data. Now we've got all of these fields that are about that image. So this is stuff that comes back from way back when we were first adding image processing to our site. We added Gatsby-plugin sharp to our site.
With static image, I do remember that.
Yeah. And so that plugin has some image processing stuff that basically says like, hey, take this image and optimize it for the web. Make it like different sizes, change, I don't know what else it does, but like optimize this so that we can have performant images. And so this image data is basically what comes back from that. So here you can see there's like some fallback images, there's different paths, and we can take a look at like where these like files actually live. But yeah, basically there's all of the data. So there's different fallback images. There's also, if you look down at sources, there's different images that get generated there at different sizes.
And so that's the optimization. You know, it converts it to WebP, and then depending on your viewfinder window, it'll choose the right size. Which is the source set. Which that part I really like from performance perspective.
And so just to sort of go one step deeper down this rabbit hole, if you go into now your code, so there's this public directory.
That's
it's at the like top level. Yeah. So this is the folder that gets generated when Gatsby builds your site. And if you look at this like source set, the path structure is sort of like /static /
right here.
Some random bunch of numbers. And if you click into one of those, then it might not get generated until you actually load the page.
Or build it. Probably I need to do a build. Well,
if you go to, well, actually open the rest of them and just like make sure that there's here we go. So if you look at that, you can see that here there's like different image sizes that are getting generated. So this one is for that static image on the homepage.
Got it.
But a similar sort of thing happens with dynamic images. And this comes from the like Gatsby image. Is it Gatsby image sharp? No, Gatsby plugin sharp. That does all of the actual image processing. So anyway, all of that is just extra knowledge. It's just icing on top. You don't have to know any of that. So let's like go back to the important part. So all you have to know about how to use Gatsby image, the dynamic image component, is that inside of your front matter field, you'll have a bunch of file nodes, and you can pick child image sharp and then child image data off of that. So now,
yeah, okay, Gatsby image. No, I think you meant Gatsby image data.
Oh yeah, what did I say?
Yeah, you said child image data because I was like, where's that?
That's not a thing. See, this is why we pair. You got to keep me honest.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now let's take all of this data and add it to our query.
This one?
Yeah.
So copy all of this MDX.
You won't want to copy the whole thing because we deleted that query variable, which we need. But you can just copy the front matter chunk because that's all that we changed, really.
Yeah. Okay. Did I copy the right thing? I think.
I think so. That looks right.
Okay. All right. So then put it inside here, right?
Yeah. So just replace your front matter object.
Okay.
So like line 19. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Sweet.
All right. So I think I copied that correctly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So now if you load like one of your blog post pages in the browser, nothing should happen. It should still look the same.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Basically just wanted to check that we don't have any errors.
Yeah. Okay.
So great. Now our data is ending up pulled into our page, and now we have to actually do something with it. So let's start. Let me just double check like where we're at. Let's start by adding the Gatsby image component because that's why we're all here today.
Yeah.
So just to recap, if you think back to part 3, we used gatsby-plugin-image, which has 2 different components that you can use. It's got static query, which we used for hard-coded image sources. So like things coming from a set file path or things coming from a remote URL on the internet somewhere. And now today we're going to talk about the second component that it makes available, GatsbyImage. GatsbyImage is the dynamic one. So the way that this works is let's start out by importing the GatsbyImage component from Gatsby plugin image.
Okay, and I'm in the right file, right? Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Import Gatsby image. And do I have to do get image also, or we'll do that later?
Yeah, you can add get image. We'll talk about that in just a second.
Okay. From
I don't know why my autocomplete also tries to add all of that extra stuff on it. But yeah, you just want to import from Gatsby plugin image.
Okay.
I think you're missing an E at the end of Gatsby image.
Yes, I am. Okay.
Amazing. Cool.
Yes.
So now we've imported this component that we can use in our site. And we also have this helper function called getImage. And getImage is really just like a way to make our code look a little bit cleaner to keep us from like needing to drill all the way down to Gatsby image data in our query. So let's walk through how to use that. So, here. So if you look at the way that this gets called, basically getImage, you can pass it the like hero image part of your query, and it will drill down to like child image sharp, get Gatsby image data for you.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
So on line, I guess, let's put it after line 8. I guess we don't even need that console log. We could just replace that console log with it.
Oh, okay. I'll just delete it. Okay. So should I just copy const image?
Yeah, so we're going to say const image, and then we'll call get image, and we're going to pass it data. So data, just to recap, comes from our page query. So when you've got a page query, it will pass in the result of that query into your page component as a data prop. And then from there, you can drill down to the particular field that you want.
Yeah, MDX font matter hero image. Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And then let's console log out that image just so that we can see like what is in there.
Okay. Okay. All right. So shall I don't need to restart, do
I? You shouldn't need to. Your
Okay.
site will start to rebuild, and then you can go to one of your blog pages.
Okay, it's this thing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's got all that stuff.
Oh, wait, that looks like that's still data
Oh,
from when we were console logging. What if you refresh it?
yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
This looks
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here now you can see this object, which matches the structure that we saw in Graphical, where it's got all of this fallback images, source images. And the nice thing about this is like this object is the exact form that the Gatsby image component wants to take in as a prop. So it needs all of this data to figure out how to render your image.
Okay.
And so now that we've got it stored in this image variable, we can inside of our JSX now, we can render the Gatsby image component. So
okay. So
let's
inside
do
here.
it. Yeah, let's do. You can put it before the front matter or before the date or after the date. It doesn't really matter.
Okay. So here in the return, right here, after. Okay.
Yeah. Let's do it after.
Okay. And
Cool.
it's
So now you're going
image?
to pass in. Yep. So Gatsby image, and then this one is a self-closing. Perfect. And then we're going to pass in 2 props. So the first thing that we're going to pass in is an image prop, and that takes that's a prop that expects this like image data object that we got back from Graphical. So you'll just pass in our image variable.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So it'll pass in that whole object with all the stuff. Awesome. And then for accessibility, we're also going to add an alt prop. And then for that, yeah, so now we have to like drill down. So it'll be like data.mdx.frontmatter dot whatever we called it, hero image alt.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome. And so now if you like hover, let's see, does it show up if you hover over the image? Or do you have to, you might have to inspect it.
Yeah, let's do that. Inspector gadget. Okay. Where are you? Yeah. Is it here, the alt?
Yeah, it's that last piece.
Yeah.
Sweet. So now people using assistive technologies can also know what your image is of.
Nice.
And then that should make it work now for all of your other pages too. If you go back and look at your other blog posts.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have this one template. Yeah, and that's the nice thing about this is like we've got one template that we use across all of our sites or all of our blog posts. So by making those changes in that one spot, it like flows down to all of your pages that get created.
That's very cool.
Nice.
Actually, I have a use for this.
Good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm curious how the audience what would they use this for?
Yeah, anyway. Great question. Let us know in the chat.
Yeah. But
and then while they're talking about that, we also want to go and add our photo credit now.
Okay.
So this isn't related to like Gatsby image anymore. This is just regular like components and GraphQL data layer stuff. So now we can use that, what is it? Hero image credit link and hero image credit text to set up a link. Let's it probably makes sense to put it like right after the image.
Okay.
You know,
So
like
down
how
here.
like on some websites they have like a little thing, like a
Oh, that's true.
paragraph right
Yeah.
underneath.
Yeah. So should it be a paragraph and then just do a drill down?
Yeah, let's start with that.
Okay. So we want to call it credit.
Yeah.
So it's got to be the whole data.image. Hero underscore image underscore credit text, because that's the name, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
then
And then if you save that, just so we can check that it shows up. Yep. So you can see our like credit just popped up at the bottom. And then now the last step is to make it a link.
Make the credit.
So you can either link the whole text or you can just link the name.
Okay. So do you add an A tag or?
Yeah. So if you think back to like part 2, we learned about the link component.
Yes.
And that one is just for internal links on your Gatsby site.
True.
It'll still work if you put it in here, but you won't get the same performance benefits. But yeah, so this one, because it is just because it's a link to an external website, you can just use the A tag.
Okay. So then I add it here and then put this inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then forgot it's href, right?
I
forgot.
Yeah, I always get href and source confused.
Yeah. I guess I should do the drill down also because we want it dynamic.
Yeah. So then this is where you'll put that image link, hero image credit link.
Hero credit. Not text. I'm going to change that to link. Okay. Oh, link. Okay. There you go. Yes.
Cool. Well done.
Okay. Let me try and do something fancy here. I'm going to do target equals blank because I want it to open up in a different window.
Oh, smart.
Yes.
Keep people on your page.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Yes. Cool. That's like old tricks from way back.
Yeah.
Early HTML. Okay. Cool. Nice.
So that's how you add dynamic images to your site. There's one other thing that I want to talk about, which is back in the graphical interface. Okay. So this is about like how to pass options into your images. So for, let's see, I'll link the plugin docs again. But yeah, so for the static image component, you could pass in, we looked at this in part 3. If you're watching the replays, we looked at a bunch of the props that you can pass in as options to configure your images. And GatsbyImage works a little bit differently. So there's some of those, actually here, I'm going to flip over to my screen real fast because I've got the docs open. So this is the reference guide for Gatsby plugin-image, also known as the GatsbyImage plugin. Naming. Yeah. Anyway, this is the reference guide. And so there are some props that both GatsbyImage and static image take. And there are other options. So these are things like, alt text and how you want it to load, if you want it to do lazy loading for your images, or you want it to load like right away, or like stuff about styling. So some of those can be passed in as props to either GatsbyImage or static image. But there are other options. If we go down here to these image options, there are other options that get passed in differently depending on which component that you're using. So these are mainly the ones that are related to the image processing of like how you want, what is it, Gatsby plugin Sharp to process your images before they get sent back from the data layer. And so these, well, here, let me go back up to this part. So if you're using static image, these are going to get passed in as props to that component, because static image sort of like bypasses the data layer. You don't have to build GraphQL queries to use static image. And then for Gatsby image, you're going to instead pass those options to Gatsby image data inside of Graphical. Gatsby image data is what's called a GraphQL resolver, which is basically just the function that says, hey, take these arguments that I passed in to this field and like implement the logic for how to give back the data for that field. So if we,
it resolves. It's like, okay, just never mind. Just
no,
my head. It's like kind of, okay.
Yeah, so the resolver is the function that says like, hey, inside of Gatsby image data, take all of those like purple check boxes that we have checked, take those as like the arguments to my function, and then like return the data that gets that like Gatsby image data field gets set to in our response.
Okay.
So for some of these things, so like one thing that you can do is add an aspect ratio. So if you like click that purple aspect ratio box, this lets you define a ratio for like what your width and height of your components, or what your width and height of your images should look like. So right now, if you go back to click through like the different blog pages that we have, you can see that like this one is, what is that, landscape? It's like horizontal, but this one is vertical. What is that, portrait mode. So if we wanted to make that consistent, then we could pass in that aspect ratio argument to Gatsby image data and say like, hey, crop all of our photos to whatever aspect ratio. I don't actually know like what the numbers, like how the numbers work. Let's see, aspect ratio.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
Docs. Here, I've got the docs up again. Let me add this. So aspect ratio forces an image to the specified aspect ratio, cropping if needed. The value is a number, but can be clearer to express as a fraction. So this would be like 16 by 9. So that's saying like 16 wide by 9 tall. And that's just like the ratio of like the rectangle that it'll lock it to. So let's try that. Let's set it to 16 divided by 9 and see.
It won't let me do it. I can't do it.
Graphical might expect it to be a number here. Let's I'm just going to do some.
You're going to
divided by 9.
Okay.
Let's do like 1.78.
I can't even do point.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if you can edit it. You might be able to edit it directly in.
In here?
Yeah. Let's see if that works.
Oh, yeah. 1.78, you said.
There we go.
Yeah. I wonder if I can do 16 by 9. Oh, yeah. I can do 16.
Yeah. Let's try it. And then let's run this query just to make sure we don't get back any errors.
Yeah.
We do get errors. Can't represent. Okay. Yeah. So it looks like it has to be a float. So let's try 1.78. Yeah.
Yeah. But still isn't like that.
Is it because it's not a string?
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see what that does.
Okay, let's get this out of here. Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah. So let's copy that over into our.
I'll just do this part.
Yeah, just that one line is fine.
Don't mess up.
So we'll add this into our blog post page template.
Okay. There.
Sweet.
Ooh,
It looks like you've got
wonder.
an extra V.
Okay. My control V. I'm trying to be
Oh,
fancy.
there you go.
Copy paste. Okay.
Okay, so if it rebuilds,
Yeah.
awesome. That looks okay. So let's go back to our images. Yeah, so then there you go. You can see now it crops it.
So
Maybe
now,
not
yeah,
in the right spot, but it at least like it at least lets you sort of force. So if you've got images that are just slightly off, you can use that to lock it to something.
Cool. Oh, that's good. I learned something new here.
Yeah.
Nice.
It looks like there's several. I'm looking back at the docs here. Let me pull this up. So there are several advanced options that you can pass to control the cropping and resizing behavior. For more details, see this transform options reference. Okay. Let's see. These values are passed in as an object. Okay, so as passed into the resolver for dynamic images, which is what we're doing. There are advanced settings that most people won't need to change, but maybe we do. So let's see. Crop focus. Oh, this is cool. So crop focus, if we set it to attention, it seems like that comes from Sharp. Let's see, what did it say? Attention is down here. Focus on the regions with the highest luminance frequency.
Okay.
So we can try that and see.
All right.
See what it does. If we go back into here, let me pull your stuff back up.
Graphical.
If we go back into graphical, yeah, if we go down to transform options, so we'll toggle this, and then what was it? Crop focus.
Yeah, I forgot it. Crop focus. We said attention.
Yeah, so it looks like center might be the default. Yeah, so if we use attention, we can see. So that'll, yeah, check to make sure that our query still runs.
Yeah, looks like no problem there.
Cool. So then now we'll add it into our into our page query.
Yeah, attention. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Control V. Okay. Control S. All right.
Cool. Let's go back and see if our little doggy has a face.
Well, let me refresh. No.
Oh, this is another thing. So because Gatsby caches all of your stuff, it like does all of those does all the image processing, caches your stuff. You might have to clear the cache and see if that fixes it.
So here we do the cleaning service again, which is going to happen actually soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me. And okay, Gatsby cleaning it out. And
so now let's see if this makes a difference.
I think it will. Let's see. Oh, okay. Deprecation warning.
Oh yeah, I don't know what that one is about.
Yeah. Oh, it scares me when I see that. Like, oh, what happened? Yeah. Okay.
All right. So if we reload, does anything change? Maybe not. It might be hard because it's like it sounded like that luminance thing, whatever. I don't know if that's related to like the brightness.
Yeah.
If it thinks like the background blue is brighter than our little black dog.
Yeah. I know that. Well, I more than think it is.
So the other thing that we could do is, this is when like that pre-optimizing your images comes in handy. So if you were going to go into like the actual image file for this little dog, you could just manually crop it using like, on a Mac, I use Preview, and there's like a little click and drag tool that you can use to crop it so that you can make sure to get just the part that you want.
This guy's eyes. Yeah, I was hoping it would just get this part. But so.
Yeah, I'm just catching up on the chat. Hi, John Hansen, artist. Oh yeah. Okay, so they say, I found it's important to inspect the HTML structure of what Gatsby generates for the image, which helps with coding CSS especially. Oh, especially with multiple images arranged in a grid or even in a flex div. Yeah, that's a good point. Inspecting the HTML is a good idea. Just generally, if you can't figure out what's going on, then inspecting the HTML is a good way to see if like things match up with your expectations.
Yes.
And if not, like where they might be going wrong. Oh, they also say that you can position that position to top or center. Yeah, that's a good point. Let's try one of those. So there's inside of graphical, yeah, that crop focus. There was another one that I think said center. Was that the default?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
it
Well,
was the first.
let's try it. Let's try it and see. We can just like change. Yeah, if you just change that to say center, let's see what happens.
Okay, so it's rebuilding. Hopefully okay. Well, maybe.
You might have to refresh the page.
Oh,
there you go.
There you go. Nice.
Well done. Thanks, John Hansen Artist.
Yeah, thank you. Much better. Yeah.
Sweet. Awesome. So do folks have any questions about this? Anybody in the chat? I'm
just going to commit.
Yeah, let's commit what we have so far.
Oh, what did I say? Good. Any questions there? Or?
Not yet. I guess since this is the last episode, there's also here. I'll switch back to my screen. There's also, so this is the tutorial page. We've been looking at this part 7, adding dynamic images from data. But there's also this last little what's next section. So well done. You've all made it to the end of our tutorial now. If you're interested in learning more, there's some suggestions here of different parts of the docs that you can look into. Our docs are broken down into these four sections, one of which is the tutorial, which you've already done. So we've got how-to guides, which are focused mainly on like if you're trying to work through something and you need some step-by-step steps, step-by-step instructions on how to do something. This is a good place to go for that sort of like practical information. And then reference guides are sort of more nitty-gritty, like technical descriptions of how things work. So if you need like API references, that's going to be where you go for those. And then we've also got these conceptual guides, which are good if you're in sort of a learning mindset. So if you're trying to just take a step back and think about like how does image processing work? Or we've got one conceptual guide that's about, I thought I had it open. Yeah, this one, which is about like if you want to learn more about how all of Gatsby's image plugins fit together. Actually, let me drop a link to this in here. And this is something that you could check out. So those conceptual guides are more of like a holistic view of like weighing out different options, more so than it is about like trying to achieve any specific task. Some cool things like Gatsby features that you can look into from here. We've got client-only routes. So this is related to like the file system route API. So if you've got some pages that you need to build, or that like pages that require user authentication, so you don't know like at build time exactly what the data in those pages are going to look like, you can use client-only routes for that. We also have docs on the Gatsby Node API, which we didn't look at in this tutorial at all. But the Gatsby Node APIs they provide a different way for you to sort of hook into different parts of the Gatsby build process, mainly around like when nodes get added to the data layer. If you want to like do some extra customization to add extra fields on, that's an option that you can do with the Gatsby node APIs. Or if you need to do something like when pages are created, or if you need to create pages dynamically in a way that you can't do with the file system route API, that's what these are good for. And then we also have serverless functions. So if you are building your site on Gatsby Cloud, which if you're following along with the tutorial, you are, then you can add, what is it? It's at the like /API. So inside of your source directory, if you add an API subfolder, you can add code in there that lets you like add endpoints to do, I don't know, like form processing or any other sort of stuff that you want to do.
Access, external data and, you know, e-commerce data or whatever. Fields. Yep. So
so those are some areas of the docs that if you're interested, you can check out. We also have a Discord. So if you want to like talk to other Gatsby developers or get help from other people in the community, you can check that out. We also have our Twitter. I know that people look at this at GatsbyJS one. There's also the ask GatsbyJS, which exists, but I'm not sure if people check that or not. Generosa, you said that.
I think we do.
Okay. You might get a response from that one. You'll definitely get a response from at GatsbyJS. So start there. And then if you want to keep an eye on what the team is working on, you can go to our GitHub discussions page for the Gatsby repo. And that's like where developers on our team are talking about features that they're currently in the process of building. So if you've got ideas or suggestions, that's a great place to get involved. We also have these live streams, which if you're here, hi, we've loved having you.
Thank you.
So we'll continue doing live streams, even though this is the last episode of Megan's Coding Corner. There will be other live streams on other topics. I think we are going to switch to doing every other week instead of every week, because we also have webinars that the marketing team puts on to talk about like different features that people are building. So we don't want to, it'll be like webinars one week, live streams another week. And then all of those things, well, at least the live streams, will all end up on our YouTube channel. In case you missed the live event, you can catch the replay. And then the last thing is about contributing. So if this was fun, or you thought, hey, this is really cool, or if you thought, hey, this sucks and I've got an idea of how to make it better, we would love for you to get involved and to go to our GitHub issues. You can look through existing issues if you have something, if you like want to work on something. You can look through our existing open issues to see if there's anything that you want to pick up. You can check out the help wanted or the good first issue labels for that. And then if you've just got more of like a general idea, you can check the GitHub discussions to see if anybody is talking about it there. Or you can open a new issue to let us know what you think. And then we also have these like contributing docs. The contributing section of our site has more information on all of this stuff. So
very nice.
Yeah. Some ways to stay involved. Now that you've graduated from the tutorial.
Cool. Well, this has been fun. I really appreciate you having me. And,
thank you so much for coming on. This is way more fun with you than it would have been by myself. So
and thanks to Kirsten too. She's
Kirsten, shout out. For
behind the scenes.
Being our fearless, behind the scenes.
And sometimes in front of the scenes.
That's true too. Guest starring. Awesome. Well, this has been wonderful. Hope you all have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you around.
Because there's going to be Gatsby version 4 and more tutorials.
Lots of stuff.
So cool. All right, Megan.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.
Adios.